god has returned. You people really wanted this, and I'm sorry I couldn't be active to finish this like I wanted, but we're going to do this justice, and we're going to keep up just as I promised. Welcome to the Battle Tendency saga. As we talk about the Joestar of this series, Joseph Joestar. Now he's a special Joestar because he has a trick gauge. And to build that, you have to do certain moves, and I'll explain what moves helps that gauge. But first, let's talk about the basic moves he has. How about a cold one? This move is his anti-air move that he shoots a bottle cap at the opponent in an arc from difference. Light being in a small arc that can actually hit the opponents right close. Medium, which goes a little bit further up in the air, and heavy, which becomes a straight anti-air. The style version of this will be a hard knockdown and will add extra damage as a random coconut falls on the opponent. Note the other ones will not cause a hard knockdown, making them be able to recover as soon as they get hit. Clacker or Boomerang. This move is a projectile that you can throw regularly and it goes full screen no matter which one you do. The speed is only affected by about light, medium, heavy. Heavy going the fastest. But you can also call back the cracker boomerangs by holding the same button you launched it with. Light will make it go 1/3 of the screen in return. Medium nearly half the screen in return. Heavy will go 75% of the screen in return. The style version goes half screen, but he shoots out 2, and if you don't hold the button, they'll go full screen. Please note that if he catches this, he will go into an animation that he catches it and puts it back. This will leave you very open, so if you ever want to call him back, please move your character. When you move Jonathan, it loses that animation of catching it. So if you move left or right or jump, he won't have to worry about that animation anymore. But if you move on the first one of style and then stop at the second one, he will catch the second one, putting him back at that animation. So be careful. Cracker Volley, and now who's laughing? This move Joseph takes his cracker volleys, spins them around and hits his opponent a few times. If you hit the button again while doing so, he adds extra damage slapping him away with the volleys. While there is a very little difference other than hits and possibly how far you move up, the heavy version moves you up a little bit further than most, and the style mode moves you up quite a bit, causing a hard knockdown if you do the full transition. One thing special about Joseph is that most of his moves in Cracker Volley has a variation change that can be mixed up into situations. Let's add these moves into the mix. I'll Smash You Good. This move is an overhead that you can use if your opponent is blocking Cracker Volley low. Now know this, while doing Cracker Volley, you can mix Harmon also in at any time. So if you want to do regular Cracker Volley, you could actually hit the style button and do Harmon version of now who's laughing, or I'll Smash You Good. But you can also start off doing Harmon Cracker Volley and then doing Harmon I'll Smash You Good, or who's laughing now, or you can start off doing Harmon Cracker Volley into regular I'll Smash You Good and or now who's laughing. Either way, you can mix up and combine it and adding more damage when you need to, or adding more damage the entire way in. This is a good way to throw your opponent off. Don't you get it? This move is a counter move that you can use on your opponent as long as it's not a level 1 or 2 super. You will do a quick unblockable move that is hard to knock down when you add Harmon to the move itself. Any other versions can be recovered from. This move also adds to your trick gauge, which we will still explain later. Time to bring down the hammer. This move is not only an overhead but an OTG on down opponents, and the move itself is a hard knockdown. This is a good way to tap out extra damage after a combo that does a hard knockdown. If fully charged, no matter what, it becomes an unblockable hammer, and it will take full force, and it does an extra hit if Harmon is used. Guess I did it again. This is another Harmon counter that adds to the trick gauge. If done right, it'll put your opponent in a stun state, freeing them up for a combo. Please note the window for this is not super big, so if you know your opponent's going to wake up or hit a button, just like the other counter, grabs, level 1 or 2 supers will override this counter. Next line is This move is a special taunt that not only raises your HH gauge and reduces your opponent's, it also adds more of an effect when the trick gauge is leveled up. Plus, this adds to the gauge when done right. But once you do the move and it works, you cannot do it again, but for good reason. Once you do this move, it puts your opponent back in neutral state, but while you're still able to react, while they're being resetted, if you're fast enough, you can add your own level 1 super as soon as the move is done, getting free damage while taking the meter. Meaning, as soon as they get pushed back, if before they show the animation of them pushing back, if you pull out super, you can actually tack on a combo, make this into a comboing taunt. But you can only do it once, because once you get a success, that's it. Time for the styles. He has common breathing, and he does have rumble features. That's his. But he also does have Rebuff Overdrive. This move is Joseph's Shoryuken that consumes meter and launches the opponent into the sky. This is a good way for making more combo potential, but note, they can auto recover from the move if they land on the ground. Hominin Guard. This move blocks any and every move. Yes, even supers, and you can block any of them as long as you have the meter to do so. It drains the usage done by every hit when you're guarding. The only thing that can stop it is throws. Now you pissed me off. This is an overhead move that does a hard knockdown and it can be used to end some combos or extend some combos. I'm so out of here. The infamous run away that all you have to do is double tap away from your opponent, and instead of dashing, you will run backwards. Trick gauge. Now let's talk about this. The gauge over your HH bar can be built by doing your next line is, don't you get it, or guess I did it again. Once the meter is maxed out, it's maxed out for the entire match, and moves that have Hominin capabilities will do extra damage than before, including supers and your basic attacks that actually have the Hominin style. Time for specials. This means war. Joseph pulls out a Tommy gun from who knows where and shoots the opponent 28 times before stopping. You want extra damage, you can follow up with "This will blow you away." It adds Hominin to the shot and blows the opponent in the sky. This move also is also affected by the trick gauge. Let me show you my tricks of the trade. This grand attack has 2 hits going from low to high before hitting your opponent with an overbeat. This move can be used in many ways to mix up your opponent and does extra damage with your trick gauge being maxed out. This move is the best move to end some combos since it does OTG and you can do a massive amount of damage to your opponent. Now it's time to move on to the Zepp of the series, Caesar. Let's get down to the character's move basics. Bubble Launcher. This is a slight projectile that moves and tracks the opponent, but only goes a short distance. Careful, because most can see this coming if you set it up right, you can make opponents second guess what you're doing, and this move is the only projectile that can be done while in the air. Bubble Cutter. His medium projectile glides full screen and can be used with Hominin Enhance. You can also hold them in place for as long as you hold a button. It is a good setup for defense if someone's trying to jump in, as the bubbles are still active as you hold them and can't hurt the opponent. Bubble Glider. The same as the medium version, only that it cannot be EX. Even though it's slow, it still counts as a high move, so it can't be blocked. And it's still, opponents can still run into it and get hurt. Bubble lenses. This move sends a lens in front of Caesar. As time progresses, a light shines through the bubble, hitting the opponent. Light does 1 shooting straight down. Medium does 2 shooting at an angle. And heavy shoots 3 shooting them straight forward. And if you do the S version, it pulls out 5 that tracks the opponent. This move can also be done in the air, but you do have recovery when you're landing, so use it wisely. One-fisted uppercut is Caesar's DP move that he shoots his arm up in the air full of Harmon. The only real difference is speed from light to heavy, and that the EX stuns opponents, setting them up for good combo extensions. Now this move is not a hard knockdown, but if you do the S version, it's more of a hard laydown, if you catch my drift. Harmon kick sends him flying towards his opponents with a Harmon-filled kick that recovers really slowly unless you flash cancel as soon as you hit, or before you see that it's going to be a mistake doing so. But the EX version recovers fast and does more damage. None of the kicks that you do will be a hard knockdown, so be careful when doing so. Cack stance is a counter move with the window being open longer for each one, but it's still really small. You have to do this only a moment that your opponent's about to hit a button and you want to make sure you get out of it. It gives you a free side step, but it still takes from guard meter. And if you do not have any guard meter, doing the move will put you in a helpless state. So it's be advised to watch your meter while doing this move. His styles is only 3 of the 3 things that we've done before: Harmon breathing, rumble mode, and seated jumping, just like Relay Zeppeli. Now it's time for his special moves. Bubble Barrier goes a short distance, but when it hits, it grabs the opponent in a big bubble of Harmon and explodes. This is good for any combos that are close up. Burnt Black. This move goes full screen and it makes contact with you and burns the opponent asunder with this. Be careful now, throwing this out full screen because you can be punished if they sidestep the move and or decide to block it. Now, let's move on to the DLC character and mother of Joseph, Lisa. Lisa is a special character. She's kind of a mix of a Rekka character, but with a chain combination character. I can't fully explain it, but I'll do my best for you guys. Let's start with her styles first. She has Harmon breathing and rumble mode. Now it's time to get technical. Lisa has Harmon chaining, meaning moves link with one another with a set of button combinations. The chain starters to each one is moves that will start the chain, and these moves are: It's Like I Told You, Not One Move Wasted, Harmon Master, and Blasphemy is Prohibited. Now after you start the chain, she will do a twirl called Cold and Compose. At that time you can link with one of the moves, that is All I Need Is the Scarf, which is the light button, Die With Regrets, which is the medium button, Set This in Style, which is the heavy button. Each button has a 2-part, being Smooth Sniff after hitting the light button, Get Away after hitting the medium button, and Futile after hitting the heavy button. Now with these you can loop by just repeatedly hitting the buttons over and over, and you can also flip what is pressed just as long as she does cold and composed. So you can swap from going light to light medium, or light heavy, or light or light medium, to back to light to heavy, so do many combinations that she can do. Most of them do not combo, but to end it you have to end the loop of your choice by hitting one of these buttons. You pick the bad time to test me, which will stun the opponent and put him in a lay down state. Snake Scarf, you'll do a flip kick over their heads, and it is an overhead, and we'll put him into a hard knockdown. Be Prepared to Die is a throw that grabs the opponent and shocks him in the face with Harmon. These enchants can be used with or without Harmon, and she has many combinations of these moves. Heck, some of them I'm still trying to learn myself, but I do know that there's one ender that can be added with some extra damage. If you do any of the enders except for the grab, and you have enough time, do her level 1 Super Aegis. It is an unblockable beam that you hit your opponent at, but it takes time to come out. But if you do it after ending a Harmon chain, you can tap on extra damage on the opponent, so keep this in mind. I dare you to try it is her grand super counter, which can capture any physical attack just as long as she has reaction time to it. So if somebody were to throw out JoJo's level 3 and you were able to do this one on reaction, you still will counter it and do major damage towards your opponent if they're not paying attention. This does it for the Battle Tendency Heroes. Next episode we will cover the Pillar Man.